Welcome back, dear viewers, and more about the ongoing escalations that are taking place in Gaza and in Lebanon. We have over the phone Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the Jordanian journalist. Good evening, Mr. Ramzy.
Good evening, Reem.
Good evening. I'm really delighted to have you in the Arab Affairs program. Especially in this edition, we're discussing the ongoing escalations in Gaza and Lebanon. As you know, the Israeli occupation continues airstrikes in Gaza City and Khan Yunis. This is happening despite calls for truce, and also the UN Famine Review Committee has warned of an imminent and substantial likelihood of famine occurring in the Gaza's north. What are your takeaways about this?
Well, the imminent starvation has been ongoing for a while now, but now we are talking about dire need. And it is very clear that Israel does not want to allow for the food and the medical supplies to enter into the north of Gaza. And it is very clear that this is using food supplies and using medical supplies as a weapon of war is a war crime. And it is very clear that the intention of all of this is a genocide. What is very shameful, Reem, is that the only way to stop this and to get the food in and to get the medical supplies in is for the international community to enforce this on Israel, because all of the demands of the international community to Israel have been ignored by Israel for the past 1 year and 2 months. So how long is the international community going to impose action on Israel? How long are they going to wait? Because it's become a disaster. Just now, as we were speaking, an Israeli helicopter fired a missile on the tents that are keeping the Gaza families around the Shuhada al-Aqsa hospital. These are tents full of women and children. Just now they fired a missile, and it is unclear whether this is part of the genocide or this is just for fun. So this is where we are today. And the onus is on the international community to act. Otherwise, Israel is going to get away with
Excuse me,
continued
Mr.
genocide.
Ramzy, I'm so sorry for the interruption, but we have to take a short break for the prayer, and we will be right back continuing this discussion regarding the ongoing escalations in the Middle East. Stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are still talking with Mr. Ramzy Khoury over the phone about the ongoing escalations in Gaza. Mr. Ramzy, you're still with me, right? You're hearing me well?
Yes, Reem, I am.
Yes. The last point you have
Reem,
mentioned... Yes.
Go ahead. Yes, we were saying that the international community has to act, but we have a very big problem. And the big problem is the American elections and the results.
Yes.
Usually any administration that loses elections in the USA and it is about to leave office and get out of office within the next 2 months, usually it becomes a sitting duck. It's an administration that does absolutely nothing. So I'm not sure if this administration, the Biden administration, is willing to actually put any effort in stopping the starvation process in the north of Gaza or not. But I can tell you that the Secretary of Defense of the United States has contacted Israel and told Israel that they need to ease the humanitarian situation of the people in Gaza, in the north of Gaza, ASAP. Now the problem with that statement is that the statement will not be taken seriously by the Israeli government that knows that this is an outgoing government. Within the next 2 months, they will have absolutely no power and they will be out of power. And therefore, they will just ignore them, pretty much, and in a similar way, how they ignored them all throughout the tenure of Biden. But now, at a higher scale, it's worse because they lost the elections.
Yes.
The onus is really on Europe right now, Reem. We cannot bet on the United States of America to do much. If we want to save lives in the north of Gaza, Europe has to come in, and to come in very strongly, at least until the next administration is in the White House.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Ramzy, thank you for shedding the light on this very important point, as actually this was my question. I was going to ask you, what are your expectations after the win of Donald Trump, and what change of policies that might take place in the American policies, and also if there would be any shift regarding the priority of the immediate ceasefire in the Middle East. Lately, all the eyes were on Gaza, and all the narrative was about an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. But after Donald Trump has won the elections, do you think this narrative will continue, or it's going to change?
Well, the only option we have is to be somewhat optimistic. And the optimism that comes with Donald Trump is that he's a wheeler-dealer. He likes to wheel and deal. He's a businessman, and he looks at everything as a business deal. But if we take his last tenure into account, Donald Trump gave Israel the green light to annex the Golan Heights. He moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, and obviously there was no great business deal for him to stop that from happening. So here is, with Donald Trump, the only bet we have is for the Arab states, especially the strong ones like Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, the Gulf states. They need to put their foot down and say, we do care about this issue. And we are not going to further your interests, and we are not going to do any business deals with you, Mr. Trump, unless you actually do something positive on the Palestinian-Israeli front. And if that doesn't happen, then we cannot be optimistic about Donald Trump. Donald Trump, at the end of the day, is dedicated to the welfare of Israel. Donald Trump is supported financially by the Israeli lobbies and the capital, the Zionist capital in the United States. A great example of this is how Lady Adelson donated $100 million to Donald Trump for the elections, and she's willing to throw much more than that if he was willing to allow Israel to annex the Jordan Valley. And all of this is clear. Donald Trump doesn't have a problem if Israel annexes the whole Arab world, as long as it's a good deal for him. So where is the Arab capital? And this is where we would have some optimism. If the Arabs came and said, Mr. Trump, you are not going to sell the West Bank and the Jordan Valley and Al-Aqsa Mosque and blah, 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 in return for cash, because if you do that, you are not going to tell us anything, and you are not going to do deals with us. Maybe then Donald Trump will wait and see where the better value is. But this is basically what we're dealing with Donald Trump.
Yes, of course, Mr. Ramzy, and also I cannot miss that Israel's new defense minister, Israel Katz, was sworn in before Parliament on Thursday after his predecessor's shock dismissal by the Prime Minister over a breakdown in trust during the war in Gaza. What changes do you think could take place regarding the Israeli policies and also the military operations that are taking place in Gaza Strip after Israel Katz is now the new defense minister?
Absolutely no change and absolutely no difference, and I'll tell you why. Katz is not a defense minister. Katz does not have any experience or professional background to allow him to become defense minister. Actually, Katz was terrible as a foreign minister. The reason why Netanyahu appointed Katz is because Netanyahu wants the file in his own hands. So the real defense minister of Israel today is Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, definitely not Katz. And this basically is why I say there will be absolutely no difference. That file is going to be now in full control of Netanyahu without any headaches, because the old or the earlier defense minister of Israel, despite the fact that he was a member of the Likud party, the same party of Netanyahu, gave Netanyahu a headache. Because many of the decisions of Netanyahu have absolutely nothing to do with the interests of the state of Israel. They are related to his own interest. It is his own interest that the war should be prolonged. It is his own interest that the genocide should go on. And therefore, Gantz gave him a headache. Now, he has no headache because he got rid of his old defense minister and appointed somebody who doesn't even know how to be a defense minister.
Yes, Mr. Ramzy, taking from your words, you mentioned earlier the necessity of the Arabs to unify and to exert efforts in this regard, as I have to mention that the Arab Parliament Speaker Muhammad Ahmad al-Yamahi directed written messages to speakers of international and regional parliaments calling for an immediate action to stop the Israeli occupation attempts to liquidate the UN aid agency for Palestinian refugees, UNRWA. In your opinion, why Israel is insisting on ending the work of UNRWA in this very fierce way?
Because they cannot conduct ethnic cleansing without getting rid of UNRWA. UNRWA is the organization that gives the support to Palestinian refugees, and in itself, just by functioning, it is actually protecting the Palestinian right of return. It is protecting the Palestinian right to live. And Israel, by getting rid of UNRWA, they are weakening the Palestinian cause politically, but also they are making it impossible for all of those refugees to survive. You have to remember that UNRWA is very functional in Gaza because the vast majority of the population of Gaza are actually refugees. They are people who were thrown out of Jaffa and Haifa and all over Palestine, and they ended up in refugee camps inside of Gaza. And this is why UNRWA is there. But it's devastating for the Palestinian refugees who are in Jerusalem, for example. And if these people don't get the support, UNRWA is providing them with education, UNRWA is providing them with health services. So if that stops, then it will become extremely difficult for those Palestinian refugees who are in refugee camps in the West Bank and around Jerusalem to continue living. And so these are the two birds with one stone that Netanyahu is getting by the new law that dismantles UNRWA.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the Jordanian journalist, for being with me over the phone. Thank you for your very helpful insights. And dear viewers, this brings us to the end of this edition of the Arab Affairs. Stay tuned for more news on the top of the hour. That was Reem Tamer, and thank you for watching.